Thank you guys
Yeah.
for the
Okay. Go ahead.
space. Okay, yeah, thank you. Kimuzi, Auntie, Dani, I think. If not. Thank you for the space. Been listening. A lot of great uh, uh, submissions. But to me, to be honest, I'm not gonna tell anybody what to do. But whatever I'm saying, that is me. That's just how I see it. It doesn't have to necessarily go with what everybody or maybe the masses of submissions. A lot of submissions given here. First thing, like, tell me how that. Of all things that are happening now, that this members of parliament think it's okay to let Linturi get away with it. They've saved his skin. You know, the committee, they voted to save him. In all this mess that is going on, for me, that's a slap on the face. I don't know for anybody else, you know? Um, over 7 MPs who were in the committee just decided that Linturi didn't do anything wrong. You know, he's one of us. So we got to save him. With everything that is happening right now, I don't know if there's anybody in his right mind would have done that. So for me, it's as simple as that. Somebody saying that we need the IABC to be I don't know. Who am I asking to do that? Is it the same people who uh, have got us to the mess that we are in? It's like asking somebody to do an exam and then and then tell him to mark your own exams. So if I'm doing an exam and then I'm asked to mark my own exams, then well, we know what's gonna happen. I'm gonna give myself some, I'm gonna rate myself. And now, how am I gonna rate myself? Definitely, I won't fail myself. I'll make sure I don't fail because I'm marking my own exams. So this idea of saying Ruto has constituted IABC, for me, I'm sorry, it feels like you're asking somebody to mark his own exams. Why does he have to be the one who has to institute it? I don't know. For me, it still remains Ruto must go. If anything that has happened today, uh, anything that has happened, I mean, with this 7 MPs and letting Linturi go, then for me, I don't have faith in any of them. They're just politicians, and politicians are not to be trusted. So for me, it still remains Ruto must go. And I'm not concerned about who's going to replace Ruto because for me, I want the system to deliver for Kenyans, the system to deliver for me, to deliver for the one in the village, to deliver for everybody else. So it doesn't matter who would come next and sit on that throne. If they're bad or they're good, the system won't let that person steal the public office. It wouldn't give them room to maneuver, to manipulate, to do any extortions. So for me, the bigger picture is if Ruto goes, yes, Ruto goes, then what? Then fix the system within. So that system provides for everybody has a different need. Maybe for some people they need a road, a functioning road. Maybe some people need electricity. Maybe some people just need a hospital near them because they have to go miles for hospital. Maybe some villages just need a school. People have different issues, but collectively, a fixed system should be able to deliver for each and every Kenyan and the best way it can. And that system cannot be manipulated. That system will prevent people from stealing, corruption. That system would make it sufficient enough for everybody. No system is 100% perfect, but then it's not as corrupt as the system that we have now. So for me, it's the focus. Yes, Ruto must go. That is the starting point for me. The end point is where for me. The end point is Kenya that works for every Kenyan. I achieve that, then you have nothing to worry about. I don't have to worry about the generations to come. This system has been installed since independence, and every time part of it is being ripped apart. And now it's gone to a point that it's not functioning anymore. So, and this system, it's not there to provide for you and I. The system is there to actually provide for Western interests that actually find now Ruto to be the new kid on the block. It's there to benefit the Western countries, UK, US, whatever you want to name it. And this is nothing unique to Kenya, mind you. This is the whole of Africa, but Africa is waking up, and Kenya. Uh, this young generation, Gen Zs and millennials, and all of them, they have awakened something that everybody's been dreading. Where do we start? They've managed to achieve something that is beautiful, something that is gone viral, something admirable. And each and every African country, immediate neighbors are saying, why can we not do that? So for me, I don't know. I don't have much to say. All I can say is that there's nothing that comes easy. Um, it's not going to be an easy journey. There's going to be a lot of hurdles. There's going to be a lot of misinformation. There's going to be a lot of sideshows. It's going to be chaos at times. But then, as long as you can keep focus on the prize, focus on the end goal, where you're heading, what do you want to achieve, then I think we can venture forward. I hope we don't have as much as issues as we had last week. Um, and hopefully we could get our country back where that the little kid whose parents are farmers, coffee farmers, but that kid has never tasted chocolate. Maybe that kid would be able to have chocolate made within Kenya. Maybe have his parents on a better wage and him on a better school, and so on and so forth. Maybe we would not have to take our raw materials to for it to be processed, and maybe we'd set the price for our raw materials, and maybe we don't have to ship the raw materials, we ship the end goods. That way people could benefit more. Thank you very much, Kimuzi, for the platform, and I yell my mic back to you.
I think the co-hosts are not here, so maybe as we're waiting for them to come back, let me say, um, first of all, very sorry to the families of the heroes that we lost in the last few weeks, and I've just been sitting and thinking as I've been listening to all the other speakers that have been talking here today. Um, one person's talked about budgeted corruption. So I was just doing the maths. Yeah? Everybody has been given 2 million. And if you look at the numbers of the MPs that voted for the bill, it's over 204, upwards of 200 MPs. So that means there is a budget for about 400 or so million. Hiyo pesa imetoka wapi? Yeah. And then you hear a few people talking about that Ruto amesikia, Ruto things are going to be better. In the last week, hiyo wiki tu yenye imepita, eh, 15 point something billion citizen gone. 1.7 billion NTSA gone. CS labor, a person who, according to the last, when she was stating her wealth, when she was being voted in to be a CS, mentioned that ako worth 200 million. How can it be that you claim mileage for almost a quarter of your worth? Like for 1 year, like you've made 43 million Kenyan shillings, and that is ushatoa salary yako hapo, ushatoa allowances zako hapo. This is just your claiming hii pesa ati nimetravel and my travels are worth 43 million Kenyan shillings. Seriously. Eh? And then hii ni me too. This week, June Ruto is appointed Director of Foreign Service in the National Defense College. Eh? Uh, the brother to OCS for Defense, Aden Duale. I don't remember his name, but he's something Duale. He's appointed a commissioner of Kenya Railways something. Eh? Just in 1 week. Just in 1 week. And we are talking about wametusikia. But I have had a few people telling me that hizi maandamano zinafaa kuisha. Ruto has yielded. Ruto, we should give him a chance. There is nothing that I don't even have words uh, because I am angry. I am angry. I am angry because personally I had a lot of expectations. This is not what adult thing was supposed to be like. I'm young, I'm a Gen Z, yes, but this is not what adult thing. This is not the needs that you are sold. Huh? Because a person, yes, I have my education, I have gone, nimemaliza hadi university, but I can't even afford to go and just giving an example, I can't afford to go and pay for, let's say, my healthcare. Hmm? I can't afford to go to the hospital. And even if I go to the hospital, there is no doctors, there are no medicines, there are no beds. I have been to some of these hospitals around here. You find a hospital where people are sleeping. One bed, 4, 5 people. Labor ward, one bed, 3 ladies. Mama ametoka kuzaa saizi, anaenda analalisha mtoto kwa kitanda, anasimama because there are no beds. Huh? And these people, mtu ana nini 43 million, mwingine why? Anyway, I don't think that right now Kenya is headed in the. We all agree, actually, Kenya is not headed in the right direction, and I think it's high time that even our leaders, na venye wa around, I don't think they, they are full of ego, and I'm so angry that mi nikiweza patana na mmoja sijui naweza mfanyia. Just saying, but it's the I have heard a few people saying that we should focus on one thing, but let's not forget it's a there are a lot other things because we may get to focus on one thing at this point and at one point and we forget about the others. So let's look at the issues that are very, very important at this time. And then as time moves on, we can see how we can address the others. And also another thing, wale wasi wanaenda ati unalipwa pesa. Yes, today you are eating with them, but tomorrow you will be crying with us. Because we've seen it again and again and again. So today unafurahia unapewa 10,000, unapewa milioni moja, 500,000, but tomorrow you'll be crying with us because these people are just giving you fish, but they're not teaching you how to fish. So senye hatakuwa, what will you eat? So guys, let's not be divided. Let's be selfless. Do not put your greed because we all have ambitions. We all want money. We all want to be successful, but do not put your greed and take money at the expense of other people. Jifikirie kwanza. That's all for me. Maybe back to Andy and Milan.
Awesome, awesome. We can have Shadrack. Poleni space ilikuwa na issue mbeleni kidogo. Shadrack, you can go ahead, followed by Thairo. Thairo, kindly mute your mic. Shadrack. Shadrack. Seems hayuko audible. Milan, unamsikia?
Simskip. Acha tupatie the next speaker.
Akech amekuwa up for long. Akech, you can go ahead. Ametoka. Akech. If he's not ready, tunaweza enda
Hello.
kwa... Oh yeah, we can hear. Go ahead.
Hello, good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. Go ahead. Good afternoon.
Okay, thank you for this opportunity. First of all, I'd like to send my condolences to those we lost, unfortunately. Secondly, I would like to add a point on a few things which people have said. First, it is important to be united to achieve anything. I think we remember on the Tuesday which people managed to reach Parliament, there was unity in all forms. And the unity we managed to bring was because we only had one common enemy, and everybody was speaking in one voice. However, this might not be possible throughout the entire course. People will have dissenting voices and what have you. So I was having a suggestion on the same. I was thinking of maybe we have of course, those who are hosting, who are having a large audience. After meetings like this, you can come up with maybe one or two issues which we can focus on a weekly, and then you maybe, if there are maybe more than one, you can create some little poll so that people can vote on. We have so that we have one major issue to focus on. Secondly, I was thinking on one of the ways to maneuver this issue of being goons being hired during demonstrations. One of the ways I thought of it some time back is that we can, what about if maybe one time, it might not be easy to achieve, but it is possible to have a remote demonstration where workers are mobilized not to go to work and things stop. This is also a weapon which is, I think it can work. Thirdly, and maybe the last point, I am of the opinion that very little will change with the current regime and system we have, but we can build on the little gains we get and achieve the bigger one. For example, I was thinking on if we can push on the IEBC to be reconstituted, which I think should be among the major, if not the major, we can use that one on to mobilize the masses, because I think people have realized that if you can educate them on few things, even our parents can also chip in. Some of them were on the streets that Tuesday. So we can use that IBC thing once it is reconstituted to successfully call a few MPs who are still arrogant. And that will also send a very strong message. And secondly, it can also be used if this guy, which I am of the opinion will continue being the same, it is also possible to recall him through a popular vote, which I was thinking with this kind of movement it is possible to use that popular vote to bring him, to recall him, that is. Lastly, I was proposing that the influencers who are doing this, to avoid this issue which we saw on last Thursday, if you're having, maybe you have decided to have a course to achieve this week, for example, that it is reconstitute IBC, and people maybe have, the influencers have done a poll and that is the resolution, then we should not listen to anybody dissenting. If somebody is having other opinions, we just respect and ignore. You don't pull him down, you don't comment, just ignore, and let us pull towards one direction. Those with a dissenting opinion, it's just a tactic. They could be genuine, which I highly doubt, but it's also a tactic to derail the entire cause. So I think we should just have a way where we have a common cause, and any dissenting opinion, regardless of whether it will come up with one of the people here or whatever, we just ignore and move with those supporting the cause. Thank you.
Naona Shadrack amerudi.
And now I was not audible. Sasa unaweza nisikia?
Yeah, you're audible. Go ahead.
Oh, perfect. I think I had a problem with my mic. Oh, thank you for giving me this opportunity, and thank you, Kimusi, for being the host. On my part, I had only one issue. There is this issue of the police killing protesters, and I've been thinking about it. Like, what does in every demonstration the police will always kill people and they will get away with it. Nothing happens. No police are always been brought to book on, or the National Police Service has never been brought to book on their police killing people. And I was thinking, like, because it is because the government does not feel any pain. We need to have a system whereby, like now, we must have that IG of police just go, because he has never come out. The only time that guy came out to talk on peaceful demonstrations we had only when the last time when the protester, we had goons that invaded that last Tuesday. I think the last Tuesday that the goons invaded our protest. But I was thinking, we must have, if this guy can listen, because I know maybe sometimes people may say he cannot listen, but the things we must have him to implement first is, one, we must have the IG of police go, because he has failed to come out and talk on his people's behavior. Secondly, we must have this government compensate those families, and this is why, because the government doesn't feel anything, because those families of those people killed in peaceful demonstrations always gain with nothing. They bury their people. Maybe the political class on most of the demonstrations take advantage of get the advantage of it. So we must have the government compensate those people that died during those demonstrations, because we saw that the police are the ones who killed people. We know that some of the police officers can be seen shooting people. So we must have that government compensate those families so that they must take measures that no any other police officer will take out his gun and shoot to peaceful demonstrators. That we must have that government compensate. I think those families that it is unfortunate even that today we are burying some of our people. Another thing, we must have those reforms of the police. We must reform that police sector, because now why will we have a national police service? Because last time it was called the National Police Force. Now why will we have a service that does not be countable? We must have that national police service, those police force officers responsible for killing those demonstrators be brought to book. Lazima wachukuliwe hatua. We must be seeing them in courts now being dragged, and this IPOA must come out and take serious measures. That's the way DCI and the other people are arresting people. Let them also come out and arrest those people so that we can see it is a balance thing. I was thinking there is no problem as of an engagement. We know this guy can lie, but what an advantage we have. It is the time of an election. That is the only advantage we have. Let people do not lie to you. The only powerful thing we have is an election, and the next election, all of us who did not vote last time or never took kuchukua kura, kupiga kura, lazima watokee wapige kura ndio huyu jamaa tumpeleke nyumbani. Secondly, yesterday I saw Charlene coming out and talking. Charlene is talking to us on behalf of who? As who in this country? The only person who was elected in this country was his father. And I think the president must come out and shut those family members who are always coming out to talk to us. To talk to us as who? They can either run their businesses and leave us alone because we don't want to listen to them. That is the thing also the president must take in keen on. On the issues on this government spending having a bigger expenditure. I was thinking that we have so much state departments. Why would we have permanent secretaries, principal secretaries, 51 of them? The president should merge some state departments. I know some were just created just to accommodate his political class. And the only advantage now we have is the president may listen to us because now the people that he has to impress is us, and we must take this advantage to make sure we have good reforms, because we will go to these demonstrations and what will he show of it in the future? We must.
It's showing Kimuzi is having a connection problem. The co-host, if you can tell him.
Okay.
So I was thinking.
Shadrach, you
So I was thinking. I got confused a bit. So I was thinking, why would we have so much state departments? The president must cut those departments to either to be respective of the cabinet, the ministry we have. The 22 of them can be enough, just like the cabinet secretaries we have, and it must come out. Not sure the problem we have in this Serikali, the bigger boss is the one eating. So the other people does not care, because if now the president is eating, so
any person going on TV, getting an interview about the changes we need, everyone has done a brilliant job. And we need to escalate this to the next level. What is this next level? In my own opinion, I think our demonstrations have been hijacked a bit. We need to pull back on the drawing table and see what else we can do better. And I had an idea. We have been very successful, and we are not going to say our success has just been seen the last 2 weeks. For us to get to the 2 weeks, we started agitating a couple of months ago. People were influencing, people were enlightening, and hii moto ilianza kuwaka kitambo. I think ililipuka kabisa now with the demos. My thought was, if we keep pushing this narrative, right now we are the people watching the government. Can we raise this conversation to high levels such that these meetings can actually even go to like physical meetings, like national conventions, national conferences of Gen Zs, where we sit together in physical spaces and we can have conversations about our country and our future? We've had a very good lady doing the fundraising, Hanifa. Can she continue being like our finance director? Can we even segregate these meetings, like physical meetings, even to counties, where Gen Zs come together? Even that our discussions is put in documents, policies by the Gen Zs, how to move forward. Like we look at every aspect of governance in this nation on one space. I don't know. Those are my thoughts, because I'm thinking in a physical space, like a KICC, like even in Machakos, there's a social hall where the Gen Zs come and deliberate on our way forward. We are going to escalate this further. These are just the thoughts that have been crossing my mind. But all in all, being leaderless, being fearless, being faceless is such a good thing. Do not push anyone to be our leader. We will lose it big time. They'll go for those people, they will kill them, they will jail them, they will buy them. So being leaderless is such a good thing. On the final thing I would want to say, guys, if any one of you thinks we can trust Ruto, I think you're mentally sick. He can never, capital never, he can never be trusted. So the only thing you can do is deal with him from a distance. You can never trust that person. It's like saying you have a boyfriend who has been abusive and he tells you he has changed and give him a chance. Those things don't work. Whatever you do, avoid conversations. Whatever you do it from this side, let him remain on the other side. Let's keep agitating, because we've already seen we can be successful as a force on this side. So, okay, fine. Like now he's going to reconstitute, or is it to reshuffle his cabinet? Do not expect much. A lot of what is going to happen is just going to be a PR. Yes, a few people are going maybe to be sacked or reshuffled. But guys, the entire cabinet is the qualification you had to be a thief to be in the cabinet. Hakuna mtu qualified, but you had, I think 1 or 2 could be qualified, but you had to be a thief to be in the space of working with him. How do you expect such a person who has not even taken 10 years 2 years in presidency to have a change of heart? Let's push what we can push from our side. Let's push for the constitution of IBC. Let's keep working the way we've been working. Because as much as he's saying he's doing all these changes, you must realize there's a lot of PR going on. The story of CRC about salary increment, I don't know even one know, that was a PR stunt. Waseme hivi, wa reject, wafanye hivi na hivi, then tuchanganyikiwe kidogo. You must read PR and genuine actions that are going on right now. Otherwise, guys, let's keep escalating this. Msichoke, especially for the people that have died in this thing. I have attended all the demonstrations. And let me tell you, let's keep escalating this. Let's keep our face as it is. Kimuzi and your team, akina Hanifa, akina Boni, and everyone else I don't even know. Mungu awabariki sana na ongeze nguvu. Ule ananunuliwa, wacha anunuliwa aende. Ule anaanguka, wacha anguke. But let's keep the spirit, because 10 years down the line, everyone will thank the Gen Z movement. You guys don't know what we have done to this nation. One of the things we have done, we have killed tribalism. I don't know if you guys know that. We have literally killed tribalism in this country. And another thing I'm looking for us to kill is to kill social class in the Gen Zs. Kusikue huu ni ule wa iPhone, huu ni ule wa Madhare. If we can be able to unite the Gen Zs as one group of people, let me tell you, coming the next election, I'm not going to say the next election is in 2027. You might be shocked we have an election next year. Let's just keep escalating this and unite Gen Zs because they're going to constitute more than 70% of the voting bloc. Thank you so much, Kimuzi, for this space. Let's keep agitating.
Okay, thank you. Next, Brian Osoro, you can go.
Hey guys. First of all, I'll first start by eulogizing and kutuma rambi to those of us who, unfortunately, in the struggle, walituacha. But in the same light, I would try to take a different approach, and this doesn't mean that I'm not, for the protest or anything. In fact, I was there. I think I only missed what happened on Thursday and also on Tuesday this week. Yeah, so my point would be to, if you can allow me, to take a tangent in history, and so that I can bolster my point. It is to do with what I think is something that I feel like, maybe people need to look into that. And this is what some people call cult of personalities. I see a danger here whereby, yes, of course, all of us, we don't want Ruto, etc., and that's the position. However, in history, I can even pick Haiti. Haiti, the country that we have gone to, whatever, give our police. So in Haiti, there was a guy called Jean-Jacques Dessalines who came into power and overthrew the French people. He was very popular, but he did not last, I think it did not even last 3 years. In fact, they killed him, wakamkatakata, and then they fed to the pigs. So some guy called Francois Papadoc Duvalier came into power, very popular. What happened? He decided to disband institutions. In fact, he went to the army, akacancel hiyo army yote. He said, and then he went to the jails and told anybody who was in jail, do you support me? Those who said yes were given a gun, and those became the police. I think Raila Odinga also was trying to mention them. They're called the Tonton Makuts. So I feel like, in as much as we are struggling here, we need to recognize the importance of institutions. Because like in our constitution right now, you will see it is divided, judiciary, legislature, and the executive. However, a lot of power is given to the legislature, whereby we have something called power of the purse. So what does this mean? And I even see many MPs who also get confused. You see, even during Kibaki's time, there was a moment Kibaki appointed, at the time it was called the Anti-Corruption Commission, something. And the country was not very happy with the appointment he gave. So what did Parliament do? Tried telling Kibaki, we don't want this person. Kibaki, of course, continued and said, I'm the president. So what did the Parliament do? They did not fund that, because every funding comes from Parliament. They refused to fund that institution until Kibaki gave in. So my point is, it is okay that we are looking at, personalities, but in the same light, I feel like we will be more safer in building strong institutions. And in doing that, we should not, because, the form that this movement has operated on or assumed, which is leaderless and formless, which is very good. So there's no compromise. I think the lessons we learned from Raila Odinga, handshake, if you go and ask anybody, what were the gains of handshake? Nobody can give you anything tangible. So I feel like with these institutions, even if it's Ruto up there, so Ruto would want to do things. And what are these things that he wants to do? Whatever it is, his programs, affordable housing, blah, blah, blah. All this will end up in Parliament. And if you have the right people in parliament, or we don't even need to have the right people in parliament, if the parliamentarians understand that they can be recalled at any instant, they behave. So when Ruto proposes his programs, his etc, parliamentarians don't vote for it. So, and then maybe the other thing I would like to say is more so on that IBC issue, which I think is very important. There was something we were trying to push for people, as they go get their votes, etc. We need these young people, these Gen Zs, these millennials, once they go register, we have a way of knowing who they are, where they are, their polling stations, and etc, and then be constantly following up on them in terms regarding civic education, such that if you become a very good block, we can actually inform a lot of what I can say policies. Because if you think about it, William Ruto, the way I've studied him, he's not somebody to give in. You can even pick recent cases. Kulipokuwa na floods, when there were floods, Machogu apparently gave a circular trying to notify parents, don't come next week. However, that was revoked. So Ruto had to wait until 1 a.m. in the night. So you can see the kind of brain or mind that you're dealing with. And Ruto is very clever. He's going to give you exactly what you want. You want him to come on Twitter Spaces? I'm going to come. You want him to fire some ministers? He's going to do that. Oh, IBC, 10 days. What you don't get is that don't look at what Ruto says or does. Look at what he does not do. Unfortunately for the doctors, they have realized that the bargaining agreement that they were given, the collective bargaining agreement, was just that. Oh gosh. And then probably they have decided that they're going on strike, which is, it's very sad. So my point is, in maintaining this momentum, I feel like it has to be a bit structured, and I'm not talking about leadership. I'm just talking about action plans. So if it's IBC getting reconstituted, voter registration, recalling some of these members, civic education, I was trying to do something on that front. I hope that maybe we can, I don't know, but my idea was that once people register, once we know who they are, we start following up on them. We have even celebrity drives on these registration days whereby, we call out people. It becomes a movement. So, yeah, I guess that was my contribution.
Thank you so much, Osoro. Thank you for the contribution. Maybe we are adding on our the immediate measures, and as you said, we should not listen to Ruto. We know who Ruto is, so we should never give him a platform to lie to us or to tell us anything. We know how he's shrewd and everything. Next, maybe a lady, maybe Kipenzi, because she's been here for long, then Okonkwo.
Thank you so much, Kimuzi, for the space. As we support the constitution of IBC, I'd also like for us to push for the credibility of the commissioners that are going to be selected for that particular position, since, as we know in the past, as the previous speakers have also mentioned, the credibility of people who hold those offices will take us a long way. Since they get to make major decisions and whether or not they're going to be compromised. And on another thing, apart from the reconstitution of IBC, I also noticed some of my friends who have applied for IDs, the IDs are not coming out. So yes, we are reconstituting IBC, but do we have the identity cards? Do we have that are going to enable us to even take the votes for those who have not registered as voters? So Huduma Center should also be pushed to just release IDs from as late as last year are still yet to come out. And another thing, the naming and shaming that has been going on is very effective in a way that we all noticed that when the picture of people wanted by DCI, once a picture was connected to Osoro, we saw that the DCI retracted. On that, I don't know if they retracted because the picture was linked to Osoro or it is because that person is really innocent. That is yet to be determined. And another thing, as we are pushing this movement going forward, we need to ensure that we do not leave anyone behind. Because yes, after we reconstitute the IEBC, what next? The next process should be a recall process. And as we know, the recall process will require voters who are registered in that particular area to either sign, give their signatures, or when it is time to recall the people to sign, to go and vote. So as we have witnessed, those goons are part of us. So in as much as we have goons, yes, but let's reach out to each and every person. For example, every one of us gets to interact with people on a day-to-day basis, be it at the market, be it at the motor, ukipanda nduthi, anytime tunapatana na mtu. So let's make civic education ikue, let it be our gospel. Any place unaenda, ukikatiwa nyama, preach that, tell that person, angalia ideas zake. Like for instance, in my case, wherever I go, I've made it a point that I must convert people. I must ensure that people are understanding the cause, so that hata ukilipwa na ule politician, you just don't go and invade some spaces that are pushing for something that is bigger than whatever that politician is giving you, because most of the time unapatiwa tu pesa ya hiyo time. Beyond that, you're left to fend on your own. And also on top of that, so that because these people, we live with them in the community, ndo isikue ati huyu anapush agenda fulani, so that these politicians wakikuja kusema ati nikina nani walikuwa, they are able ati to fish out people. That should not be the case. We should stand united as a block, the same way wale anti-riot police walikuwa na move kama block wakitry kutuzuia from protest. That is the same thing we should be pushing for. Yeah, and on another note, my last point actually, the boycotting. I've seen the lists. Once we verify that these people are actually linked to the corrupt leaders that we have, any business that is linked to them, I would like to push for us to just boycott and resist, so that these people are not only stealing from us, wanatuibia, wanaeka biashara na bado wanaturudia tena kutake the little that we have. So I'd urge for us to continue with that. And thank you so much. And back to you.
Thank you. Okonkwo, you can go ahead because I've seen you raise your hand so much. Then either Julie or Mebs next.
Okay, good morning, guys. I hope you can hear me.
We can hear you.
Now, thank you for this space. Before I say the few things that I would want the government to do, let me say the two things that I would want us to do. The first thing that I would want us to do is we need to be a bit more tolerant within ourselves. We started a good movement, imepick momentum. I feel like at this point, we have gotten some power. We need to manage that power. We can't be throwing it around aimlessly. We can't just throw our weight aimlessly. Like I said, and I know a lot of you are going to disagree with me. That is why I'm asking for tolerance. You see, once the president rejected the bill, at that point, tulikuwa 1-0, like we were on top. We should have cooled down, figured out the next course of action. But instead of that, it's like some of us, we got drunk with the power of what we had achieved, and we now decided, let us take it a step further, or Ruto must go and whatnot. And I agree with that. Ultimately, it is Ruto must go. But we have power, and we have to start using it responsibly. That is the first thing I would like to say. Now, okay, just joining something to that is we need to stop attacking each other. If somebody has a different opinion, because we are saying we are leaderless, that means we do not have a channel that communicates our voice in unison, excuse me. But as much as we are leaderless, we need to stop attacking each other. If somebody has a different opinion, historia, oh, huyu sijui amelipwa, huyu sijui amefanya nini. You see, if people out there see we are attacking each other, I can guarantee you that is why protests zinaenda zikiwa na less and less and less people, because we are attacking each other. Ule amelipwa, ule amefanya nini, and it's propaganda. No one is producing evidence. We need to stop attacking each other. If somebody voices their opinion, let us just respect it. Tukae tuseme, okay, umesema hivyo, ni sawa, thank you for the fact that you've come with us. At this point, tumeachania hapo, but tuache kuatakiana. The second point, I'd say this. In communication, the message is very, very important, but also the messenger is important. In my opinion, and I'm saying this very humbly and respectfully, in my opinion, we cannot say that we are going on with this movement if we do not have a leader or a mouthpiece. Because we are going to need somebody to communicate that opinion. The fact that tunasema we are leaderless because tukipatiana watu watanunuliwa, it shows that we do not have trust amongst ourselves. Why don't we trust ourselves? Why don't we trust each other? Get leaders. If they go out there and sell us out, just like we have elected them, we whip them out of office, we get new ones. But the message is important. We have a message, but people, we do not have a messenger. And that is why Ruto is going to be dealing with 100 issues at once, because we are not telling him what to focus on. If we get a messenger right now, if we get messengers, leaders that sit down and tell them, we want IBC, we are all going to have a focal point. We are all going to rally behind that. And if we are afraid of having leaders because we think they'll be bought or they'll be killed or they'll be turned, if that happens, we elect other leaders. Because the fact that we do not do that, it's going to mean that those who've paid the price, it's going to be in vain bana. Akina Rex na wale wase wote wenye wamededi, yao itakuwa imeenda hivyo. So in my humble opinion, I think where we are going now, we need to start seriously thinking about leadership. Now, the two things as I finish that I would want us to talk about now. The problem with Kenya is not so much that the systems are not working, it's those who are in the offices or those who are custodians of that system are not living up to par. So tuko na shida na IBC, tuko na shida na hizo vitu zote. We want them to constitute IBC, but we need to think of laws that are going to strengthen the system such that those who have questionable character cannot get in. There are two things zenye sijasikia zikiongelewa zenye in my opinion I think they would be good. The first thing, I would need us to start thinking about crafting laws that would help protect the legislature and the judiciary from the executive, because we are in this mess because the president clearly interferes with the legislature. So I'm imagining if we have more stringent laws, or if we have better thinking parliamentarians who cannot be easily convinced by a president because of party affiliation, because when wamepitisha hii finance bill ndo ikakuja ikaleta hii shida yote, it's because they were told by the president to do so. So we need to find a way of shielding parliament from the executive, and also the same with the judiciary. The second thing that I would want us to do, to start talking about as I finish, this is the last point. One of the things that we are complaining about is corruption. I think we need to start clamoring for the EACC, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, to be given prosecutorial powers. Because as it is right now, EACC wanaenda, wanafanya investigations zao, they have to forward their files to the DPP, DPP decides whether to charge them or not. So there's a blame game. Ukiuliza tuseme kwa mfano a corrupt governor ameletwa kwa Senate, when you ask senators what happened, wanasema tulipe EACC. EACC what happened? Tulipatia DPP. DPP what happened? There was not enough evidence. Go back to the county. Kuna hiyo blame game. If there was a central place where corruption is being dealt with, EACC wapatiwe powers za kuprosecute such that if something happens, it is EACC. It is not going beyond there. They have their attaches in all these other departments when you're wanafanya hizo vitu, but I think that for corruption to be dealt with in one position that is independent, EACC should be given prosecutorial powers. I think that is a conversation we need to start having. Otherwise, thank you for this space. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you. And for the people just coming, we are talking about the solutions that we need to put forth so that we can push the government forward more. And today we should not be hell-bent on emotions or anything. Let's just look for solutions. Very important, so very vital solutions for our movement. And the mic, I want to talk about the mic. I'll be giving it out randomly. I'm not checking my DM so that I give somebody that I know. I'm just giving it randomly. I can see Shanky, you have requested. You have been talking, Shanky, on these spaces. Let's just give chance people that we have never given. Anyone, if you want the mic, just request. I'll pick randomly. Don't worry. Mebs, you can go forth.
Thank you, Kimozi. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Thank you. I'd just like to start by, of course, in a moment of condolences, my condolences messages to every patriot who was lost during this fight, which we are increasingly winning. But the speaker before me, Okonko, said tulikuwa 1-0. Yes, tulikuwa 1-0, but it was 1-0 on the second minute of a 90-minute match. So we are not sure if you're winning at all. Yes, have we achieved something? Yes, we have. And kudos to everybody, champions online, yeah, champions on the ground, champions in hospital, and even those who died. Yeah. So why leaderless? This is the first point I want to just to add a point on what Okonko just spoke about. Okonko, we are leaderless because we've seen, yeah, right now that everybody has a prize. Our power is in the numbers, collective. If you give Ruto, as we know him, one person, you guys just go back, let me remind you, can you imagine Moha Wajichopevu? Moha brought us the story of, what was his name? Sergei, yeah, the ICC witnesses. Moha is in bed with Ruto right now, yeah? So please, we do not want to put a face in this, or we do not want to say Kimuzi is the leader, or Konko is the leader, or Mabes is the leader, because everybody has a prize at the end of the day, yeah? And that is why they want somebody. That is why he wants to find a leader, because without a leader, he doesn't know who to attack. Anashika kina nani Osama anawapeleka ndani, anapata kumbe kuna watu 1000 pia bado wanaendelea kuchant Ruto must go. Anashika mmoja anapeleka ndani, anapata kumbe umati bado ya watu hapa nje wananingojea. So that is why at this point, as we are fighting for these changes, we need to, yes, Kenya cannot be governed with all of us. That one we agree. But at this point, until the fight is won, we need to have a collective power and to say all of us are chanting the same thing. We are saying corruption has to end. We are saying that institutions who are in bed with the executive, be it the IEBC, be it the judiciary, be it all these places where we go, who are given who are told what to do with the president, that one has to stop. Yeah, that is why we are channeling forth. What can we do? Tumesema, of course, tunataka IBC ikuwe reconstituted. Yes, but can we trust the institution under Ruto? That is why we are still chanting Ruto must go, because if he is at the top feeling the pressure, then he knows that at the end of the day, he has to put people who have to come to IBC have to be correct people. Remember, there's never been an audit for the last 2 elections of the server. Server inakongemeka kufunguliwa. If we open the server right now, we will see the true winners of these elections. Whether it was him, whether it was the other people, we will see, we will know. What we are saying is we want people drunk with power and corrupt at the top, leading us. We are saying right now, collectively, we do not want to see people who have cases, criminal cases, being our leaders, standing on podiums. Tumesema church and politics, divorce. So bado hapo we still continue injecting. On Sunday, right now they are crouching back. Pole wanaanza kukam. Wanaanza kusema na kiburi, wanatukujia ati watu 20 walikuja pa kunishtua nini. We are still deplatforming these people. Don't forget. Hawakuji kuongea, hawakuji why are churches? You guys ask yourself, why do every Sunday, every politician with a helicopter land in one remote area in Kenya and contribute 20 million, 5 million, 70 million for a church? Na wafanyangi vitu kwa hospitali. Kwa hospitali, our politician wote mali wanatoka, nobody has a functioning hospital in their counties. But kwa church, because church is just wash, period. Yeah, church is just wash. The problem is we have the class, the age group before us. Wachana na millennials na Gen Z, want to believe God, our parents, and that's where we didn't need to push for civic education as well. When you're so brainwashed in church, wanambwanga, you have to forgive everything, you have to do everything. Watutukuku Kimuzi, you can maybe attest to this. Watutukuku abroad, you come here and you notice that this is not how it works. This is not how it works. Churches are not supposed to be anywhere where they should just come for peace talks and all that for a country. Yeah, but we are saying again, tunaendelea hapo, no speaking in churches, no driving with sirens with your expensive cars here, inconveniencing everybody in the traffic. Yeah. So as we constitute this, remember we have one goal. When we say Ruto must go, we don't say, of course, he's going to leave tomorrow. Ruto is not going to surrender. Ruto came on national TV and gave an interview where he called himself in State House and actually just abused the whole nation. And he did not care. Yeah. And yesterday sent his daughter to come and, because you cannot tell me that he didn't know that his daughter is going to talk to the public. First of all, as who gives her this mandate to speak to us? Yeah. She should mind her business. Maybe look for a nice week. But Kimuzi amesema leo si square nini emotions. Leo tunaangalia what measures we need to take. We are still injecting pressure that we need policy reforms. We need leaders who are credible, because we have a constitution that gives mandate on how to operate Kenya. Yeah. So people who are injected in this institution, who are in bed with the executive, are the ones who are drunk in power, and they're the ones who are corrupt. This is what we need to push for them to get out. And then finally we will achieve our end goal of Ruto must go. Will we achieve it tomorrow? Thank you very much. Those were my 2 cents for today. Thank you.
Thank you. Jose next, then Lumu. Kindly. Jose, then Lumu.
Can you hear me, Kimuzi?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, it's been a long time trying to get on the mic to speak. Thank you for the space. First, of course, is to express my condolences to the heroes we've lost, and I hope we will never forget them in history. It's very sad to see our younger brothers and sisters dying on the street. And this, for me at least, has given me hope that we can all wake up and do something new. My second point is to give gratitude to Kimuzi and a lot many other people, Maj, Osama, and many others, Hanifa, who have done so much for this movement in terms of providing the spaces for communication and so on, and so that has been really wonderful. My first point is just to say, before I go to what we should do next, immediate steps, is just to say, let's not allow Ruto to slow our momentum. I have seen the slowdown of protests since the first time, since Tuesday 25th. There has been a slowdown in terms of physical protest, even online protest, and then I think it's because perhaps we've not really been listening to each other. We've not stayed together the way we should. As someone else said a few minutes ago, let's stay together. Let's be tolerant with each other. Let's hear different views, even if we don't agree. Let's be the face of the kind of democracy we want to see. One of the reasons why our parliament is messing us up is because the parliament is not able to do its work of checking the executive, because they've been pocketed, or for some reason they are complacent. They are not able to actually hold the president accountable. And I do remember a time in Kenya when that was actually there, that MPs of the same party with the president would tell the president no. It is for the last, since the new constitution, I've not seen that. So it's very interesting. Let's not allow ourselves to fall into the same trap. At least I have seen that the attempt to try and turn the business community against young people has failed, because it is clear that whoever is doing looting and destruction during our protest is not us. It's people who've been sponsored to come and do that, which is again a very sad thing. Now, for me, the next steps is one, IEBC reconstitution. We need to get that in place as soon as possible. We need to make as much noise as possible for this. People have prosecuted this, talking about the kind of character we want to see there. Let's be clear about this and communicate all these aspects, because we do need to have IEBC for us to initiate recalls for the MPs who we want to send out of office. The next thing is to continue our movement of occupying offices of corrupt officials, like we are going to do on 8th for the MOH. Seriously, I'm an employed Kenyan. Formally employed. So you can imagine, I am waiting for this shift thing to start cutting money from my salary, and yet I cannot see the value for the 1,700 that I pay right now from from NHIF. It's just ridiculous. So let's make sure that we sit in those offices and we hold them accountable. We send them out of office. It is my prayer that yes, we will send Nahumincha, or I hope that's correct, the pronunciation of her name. We'll send her home, and that will become a lesson for the rest. Lintuli should be home. Waluke should not be standing anywhere near our hallowed grounds like State House, of course, which has been dishonored by Akina Ruto and the rest. But he should not be leading us. He should be in jail serving his sentence of 67 years. But yet he's there clapping like a cheerleader when the president is insulting the country. So it's really, really bad. So that's for me a very key point. Let's continue pushing them. At least you can see them, the Senate trying to speak our language, but again, could also be just PR. We need to continue moving and not hear what they're saying. We want to send all of them home and have new leaders. One thing I would want to say is that within ourselves, we must check ourselves and ask ourselves whether we are willing to take this conversation around corruption seriously, beginning with ourselves, because this culture is so entrenched within us that it is hard for us to hold or to remove the speck in others' eye while we have a log in our own. Paying cops when we are arrested on the road, all those things. We need to start changing that narrative. My friends tell me I'm foolish because I choose to go to court whenever I have issues with the police. But yes, that's the way we should go, because the system does work. The system works. I go to court. I've gone 3 times. I've won those cases. Yes, a waste of time. Yes, because it's stupidity. But yes, yet at least I would rather get that receipt from a judge than giving that cop 200 shillings, because it has to begin with us. So as we call them out, we also have to make sure we are starting there. Next one is civil education. As someone else said earlier, we speak it. I went for a funeral on Thursday last week, and I put my mother and a few other women and a few men who are my teachers in the church and school together, and I told them it is not a favor. It is not a favor to get roads. It is not a favor to get water. It is not a favor that these MPs, when they come and tell you they're doing ABCD for you and you clap for them. It is what they're supposed to do. So we need to educate our parents, especially them, because they see them on TV and they take them for their face value nonsense. We need to let them, our parents, know. And I warned them, I told them, if they're not careful, we are going to hide their IDs, because we don't want them voting stupidly or voting with lack of information. So civic education, let's educate people as much as possible. Even these goons who are infiltrating our protest, we need to find a way to reach them and ask them, is that 500 shilling you got yesterday going to take care of you for the next 5 years? We need to start educating people, on these issues, and them understanding that they could get better from a politician than just 527, as someone used to call it before a while back. My final point is that the issue of corruption needs a decisive action, and I would pray that those of us who are here could sponsor, could sponsor a bill to Parliament on corruption that is more stringent than the economic crimes foolishness that we have right now. Something like what you'll find in places, I think, like Singapore or China or other places, and we push Parliament to adopt it. We force them, like we are forcing them now to do PR stunts of rejecting increases, which is unheard of. They would ideally have just continued with enjoying if this wave was not happening. We need to sponsor a bill. And I would actually, I'm not a legal mind or anything, but I think I can find people who can help do that. Find a way to sponsor a bill to Parliament on corruption that really checks, so that the kind of stupidity that this Migori governor is trying to pull off, of paying 300 million while he has stolen billions, walking around with a murder case on his head, trying to get back into public office. It is, Waluke trying to avoid jail by getting into an appeal before 6 months elapse. It is absolutely ridiculous So my people, let's continue agitating, let's continue pushing, let's continue, even just retweet alone is important. Use the correct hashtag. Let's continue agitating, but also let's take action. On the issue of us having leaders to speak for us, I disagree about having leaders with a face. We can always say, I appoint, Kimuzi can go do this, or anybody can do this for us. We cannot, we are all leaders, all of us. Yes, at a point we might get to a place where we need to actually have other structures around, but right now, to have leaders is to expose ourselves to be misused, to be mismanaged by the Ruto regime. It is absolutely an honor to be participating in this kind of movement. And I really continue to encourage you, Kimuzi and Osama and Maj and the rest of you who are doing this. Continue doing what you're doing. It's amazing. Thank you. That's my contribution.
Kindly Lumu then Julie, Lumu then Jumuk. Thank you, Joseph, for that input.
Hello guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. I can start by agreeing with the previous speaker that we need to maintain our formlessness as we've always had. Because let's be honest, if we had a leader, if somebody was arranging this protest, they'd have already been arrested or they would have been paid off. And if they had been paid off $1,000,000 or two, and they'd have told us to stop going to the streets, and suddenly nobody would be going to the streets anymore. So we need to maintain our formlessness. We cannot talk about picking out a leader at the moment because everybody, as we've said, everybody is a leader in their own capacity. Maybe I am a leader. I pick a friend with me today and go to the protest. I pick a leader with me and we display the vastfulness and the usefulness or how much they're using our money for stupid things and for corruption. We cannot allow ourselves to be forced by the government to pick a leader. If we want a leader, when that time comes, we shall decide for ourselves who's going to be our leader. And yes, we are a few years from elections if it's going to get up to 2027. Within that time period, we can have figured out a, a usual or a good way for who we are going to appoint or who we are going to back to go for the presidential seat. Next, I'd like to speak about the issue of Ruto and the cabinet. First of all, the cabinet is a problem, but in as much as the cabinet is a the problem comes from the top. If I am a good leader, if I can actually maintain my house in order, my children are going to be well behaved. And it's the same in government. If Ruto is going to be a good leader, we're going to have good cabinet secretaries working for us. So the problem is coming from the top. The cabinet secretaries are only acting as much as their leader is showing them to do. If I am a thief or I am corrupt, then the people I'm going to pick below me, they're only going to emulate me. Why should they act differently from what I am showing them? They can only do as much as I am telling them or as much as I am showing them. Uh, Badly, I'd like to speak about the issue of IEBC and constitution. This is the only way we can actually become.
Lumu, there is something wrong with your mic.
Yes.
Or your network.
You can't hear me clearly.
Yeah.
How about now?
Now it's okay.
All right. I was talking about IEBC constitution, and I'd like to say that somebody mentioned about the issue of our commissioners being people who have a moral upstanding and people who can be counted on to give us deliberate and good results. Because we don't know if we put somebody there, we can keep on talking about IEBC commissioners, but we don't just want anybody in that position. We want somebody who's actually worthy, who can do a good job, who's going to go there, and regardless of how much money somebody throws at them, they can give us good results. And from now on, I'd like to speak about police being held personally accountable for what they've done to us. There's
Numu,
the
Numu, Numu.
yes, yes.
There is a very big problem with your mic. Maybe Ephraim, you can take over. Then maybe we'll come back later when the mic is okay. Ephraim, Sally.
Hi,
Hello,
Kimunzi. I hope you can hear me.
I'm here, Ephraim here.
Oh, Ephraim, okay, you can go first.
Ephraim, you can take over, please. Kind. Ephraim?
Can you hear me? Hello? Kimuzi? Am I audible?
We can hear you.
Okay, thank you so much for this space. I was saying, I think mine will be a little bit brief, but first of all, condolences to those people who lost their lives through the shooting by the police. Condolences to the family. I mean, it was so sad losing these heroes in this fight. Okay, guys, I think we need to understand the complexity of the problem that we are facing right now. The problem, I think, is beyond Ruto, simply because I think we are dealing with a problem which is a deep-rooted systemic problem. That is to say, like, we have Ruto who is a mess, he is a liar, a very bad trait for a leader. We have the parliament, which is basically like a puppet. We have a part of the judiciary. We have the police, which are now even worse. Then corruption is a big elephant, which now thrives across all these institutions. So guys, I think we also need to be a bit realistic. Ruto is not one guy who can wake up one day and say, I resign. And if he does so, and maybe we have that IBC, and elections are held in the next maybe 90 or whatever days, let's be honest, Kenyans, we're still going to have leaders, or maybe the same or majority of the same politicians who are also part of the systemic problem. My suggestion is this. I think we need to use a different approach, as in, let's focus on cleaning up the system, as in total cleanup. And we should focus our energy on parliament, because I think that is the main house or the place where we lose all these battles. That is where we can be able to tame this corruption. That is where we can have institutions being accountable. That is the main area where we can communicate to it directly and have things done according to our way as the people. So my opinion would be, we need to focus on two things, because I see today's theme is focusing on immediate things that can be done. Number one, I think we need to fight for justice for those people who lost their lives in the streets. And by saying this, I mean, we can collect evidence. We know the cops who are involved in this. We can pick up 2 or 3 and have them charged in a court. And I'm sure we can get support from lawyers and support from LSK and many other people who may be of the same common goal. And this case can also help us to continue now showing our presence or our fight online and offline towards having justice for these people who we lost in the streets. Number 2, I also think we need to recall the 204 MPs. I'm sure you guys have seen they have started the resurfacing, now showing Kenyans the middle finger. I mean, why did we even lose this from the beginning? Why have we not initiated the process of recalling these guys? We already have, I think it is Kabete constituency where they're recalling their MP. And those guys are ahead of the game. They have already started. They have printed the books. They have visited the churches. They are going to also show, I think they call, there is a word they call mitaani huko, where they are placing people and putting themselves together in collecting these signatures and details. And there is a lawyer who was in this space, I think either this space or another one, who explained it very well, that recalling an MP is not something that is complex. We basically just need to collect the signatures and the details. We collect 50 plus 1, that is the majority of every word that voted for that particular MP. Then we raise a petition through the IEBC. It doesn't matter whether we have a chairman of the IEBC or not, we already have a secretariat who are given the responsibility of processing these petitions. And the work becomes easier because this petition now, when it leaves IEBC, it goes straight to the speaker, where it shows that the people of this area, they have said you are not able to serve them according to what to their wishes. And that basically means that guy, I think, I don't know how it goes now beyond that, but it is just a simple thing, though it involves a lot of work, the nitty-gritties and hula baloo of going all around collecting all these details, but it is achievable. If we could pick up these two things, I'm sure we can maintain the momentum that we may need to keep on pushing on for better governance of this country. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ephraim. Thank you for your input. You can mute your mic. Maybe we give next to a lady, maybe Sally, because she has been raising her hand up. Then Sally, then next Sally.
Okay, thank you so much. I hope you can hear me. So hi everyone. Thank you so much, Kimuzi. I don't know, I keep on calling you Kimuzi for hosting this space. And yeah, so first of all, of course, my condolences to the families, the friends, and the loved ones of all those who've lost their lives in this fight. Our prayers are with you, and yeah, we hope that God will see you through this trying times. Secondly, of course, as a young person, I'm very proud of my country at this moment. And much as whatever is happening right now is very mentally and emotionally draining, because honestly speaking, I did not ever envision a time in my life where I would log on to X or Twitter or whatever you call it and find, images of people my age who've been killed, who've been shot in the name of fighting for our country. So it is emotionally draining, it is mentally draining, but we cannot give up. Giving up is not a choice. We can't take mental breaks because again, it's not easy, but we cannot give up. Now, moving on to our point, what you're talking about today, the next immediate measures. So I've seen people talking about the low-hanging fruits that we have. That means the things that we have at hand, like the easiest reach, the things we can easily reach for. And I remember at the beginning of this fight, when this thing just started online, we were telling ourselves that our greatest weapons are our phones and the internet. I feel like we can still take advantage of those instead of uh, maybe we are going for things that maybe are still far, are still quite out of reach. But what we have currently are our phones and the internet. And how can we use this to still keep on realizing our dreams and goals and to still keep on winning this fight? Number one, we saw during Thursday's demonstrations that the goons were hired, and these goons are not old people. These goons are not like the older generation. These goons that were hired are our age mates, like ni mayuth kama sisi. So much as I may be sounding like the devil's advocate here, but I would like to see them not as our enemies, but as people who just saw an opportunity to get quick money and went for it. The people who are sort of mentally enslaved to these politicians. So by using our phones and internet, we can maybe do things like making graphics. I've seen people really make really, really nice graphics, like graphics that sort of discourage these people against accepting small money from these politicians, to remind them that you are doing those pathetic jobs because these politicians have taken away your opportunities from you. These graphics can be in Sheng, can be in Swahili, can be in English, as in a language that they can easily understand. If you can make such graphics, then at the end of the day, another weapon that we have is our numbers. We are many, sisi ndo wengi kuwashinda. So if we are able to get as many of us as possible into this movement, including those goons or those, let me not call them goons, let me just call them those youth or young men, and I don't know if women were among them, but maybe young men and women who are easily bought to go and do those bad things. If we can convince them to take the money, yes, but don't do it. You don't have to do what they tell you to do. You can take their money because, I mean, they're the ones offering, but you don't have to do what they're telling you to do. Then we can really, really make some steps with some of the simple things that we have at hand. Another thing is we need to infiltrate our family groups. You see those posters that we are making, do not be afraid. I mean, those posters that, for example, the ones that showed how much money like someone stole and how much it can do not be afraid to share those posters, even in your nuclear family groups. Like, no matter how small your family group is, share it. I don't know whether it would be appropriate to share those in church groups, but if you can, 100% share them so that these people can know. I remember yesterday, I think was it in Kericho, people went and put back up that wheelbarrow thing. You see, that shows the amount of mental slavery that we still have to fight. Yes, we are fighting for IBC to be reconstituted. Yes, we are fighting to recall our MPs. Yes, we are fighting all these things. But there's still a lot of mental slavery in our country. And that is what we really, as we work towards these tangible things, we really need to also work to liberate those people so that when it comes to the time for an election, when it comes to the time for whether it will be in the next 90 days or in 2027, whichever time an election will come, we will have liberated these people. We will have numbers. Number one, we will have the numbers. Because size, the only, honestly speaking, it's only like maybe the youths who have been exposed to some of these things that we know Ruto for the evil that he is. But for some of our age mates who do not have sort of the, how do I put it, the level of, I don't want to say it education. I don't know you, but you people get what I'm saying, right? I hope you do. They don't they don't have like that level. They won't see it. They're still mentally, tied to these politicians. So we need to find ways of releasing them from the shackles of mental slavery that they're on. Another thing is civic education. I saw Mushiri. Mushiri did really, really well by translating the finance bill in mother tongue, different, vernacular languages. If we could scale that up to do that to the constitution, again, our phones and the internet, recording reels on TikTok, recording reels on Instagram doesn't really take long. Someone can just choose a clause of the some clause or article of the Constitution and explain it in their language. Those ones again, we share them in our family groups so that they know that, okay, this is what the Constitution says, and this is our right, and this is what this person has done. And right now, another point, right now, the things we have seen on the internet, the way this guy spoke that day that he was really, really mad, the one that we actually know that's the real him. I mean, by this guy named Ruto, by the way, that day that we saw that, like, that's the real him, the things he said, the things he did, the photos we have on the internet, the videos we have of police killing us and beating us up and shooting us and arresting us. That is our evidence. That is what we have. So that the time the next election come, we put even more focus on, much as we will be campaigning for our candidate of choice at that time, we also put more focus on campaigning against this guy. Remember, again, this Ruto is a very smart guy, right? We all know that he's a very smart politician, and he does not mind playing dirty. So if he doesn't mind playing dirty, then we should also beat him at his own game. I mean, we can also play dirty, but playing dirty does not necessarily mean breaking the law. We can find ways of playing dirty by not necessarily breaking the law. If it's campaigning against him, the way I see Nani does, this guy, is Itumbi, the way Itumbi does. Itumbi does a lot of spreading of propaganda.
Kindly wind up because we
Sorry.
have so many speakers.
Yeah, this is my last point. If you can like beat them at their own game by spreading propaganda, but not like the bad kind, like the good kind of propaganda so that people know. So yeah, thank you. That's my point.
Thank you so much. Sale next, then Endoro. Sale.
Yes, thank you very much for granting me this opportunity to actually speak my prologue, so to say. This system, this government has actually taken away my family, your families, hopes for ever being like achievers, hopes for development. This current regime promised us quite a lot of things, so to say, in businesses, in jobs, ease of like our livelihoods, but at the long run, it actually ascertains that Africa actually kills her own sons. To be in particular, I would say Kenya kills her own sons and daughters, just at the expense of just mere ambitions, being egocentric. With all due honesty, I think, yes, literally Kenya is killing its own son, in its own son in each context. Because yes, we do have ambitions, we do have aspirations in life. I would like to also get like a decent living. I mean, I'm looking forward to my own future. And here, the government won't realize that the only way we can only come out of this predicament is actually struggling to survive. We can come out of all this when the government actually just hears us as a quick solution. Hears us, it does away with all this institutional capture. It has its tentacles all over the place, the judiciary, the police, even our own institutions, the youth institution in the government have also been captured. So how can we trust them? So even the guys purporting that they are their own leaders, actually they are betrayers. They have betrayed us. So we as the Gen Z, quote unquote, we are basically fighting, or we are just protecting for what we know is truly ours. Na by the way, gava watu wanisikie. I'm sure wako hapa kwa hii platform. Because we are out on these streets because we are actually fighting for our own freedom, our own jobs, basically our own hope. We just want that mere hope that we are clinging on is what is taking us out there. Bele tumekuwa peaceful all this time. Na gava pia hata wenyewe walikuwa na acknowledge. They have never seen such thing as that. But wezi ko tuna claim pia at the same time, yes, we are peaceful. But at the same time, you guys, the government, you keep on undermining us. You keep on, you don't want to hear us out. You're claiming you are taking care of our needs, but in actual sense you are eating us up. Hatuwezi tunasoma kwa history books ati Kenya at some point tulikuwa in the likes of Singapore. Why can't we ourselves actually create those like those history for ourselves? And that is the starting point. Gava pia irudishe its focus. Vision 2030 now it's a facade. We seem to have been losing a lot of focus. It seems so far-fetched for us. If at all kama ni Gen Z ndio itate, si wenyewe ndio tukue more of overseers. Overseers as in nini? Overseers hata ukisema mara nyingi inakuja more of being officers. And we shall take accountability to the end. Kama if at all it is in those leaders, yes, we shall. If at all tutatumia our own expertise, we in IT, we in law, tuta break down these laws for our fellow Kenyans. We as teachers tutazifundisha kwa hao watu. Hata watu wa MJE, tutabonga tu kwa site. Medics wanatusaidia pia. As we as Kenyans, hii emblem imekam as Kenyans. So mtu anakama anauliza, okay, do we have our own leader? No, we don't. It is just a simple no. We don't have any leader. Do you know what is guiding us? Or our own lead? Ama nini? What is our own lead at the moment? It is actually our own passion. Like zetu zenye all of us we are resonating so well with. Mjamaa unaona, yes, wajamaa wamekaa base mtaani. Actually, those things, our visions, yani tu our hope of ever being developed.
Sale, kindly let's check on time, kindly.
Yeah, sure. But basically, if at all, it is more like proposals that we actually want from this current regime. First of all, we demand for the cabinet equal dissolved kabisa kabisa. We don't want reshuffles. Hatutaki hiyo Linturi sijui apelekwe wapi. All of those guys watolewe tu. It doesn't matter wali invest pesa ngapi hapo ndani. It doesn't matter. Police wapewe independence yao. They've been captured. Judiciary pia the same thing. They've been captured. We take up easy roles pia sisi hata kama on ma senators, we don't need those roles. These roles we don't need them. Actually, we can hold these guys into account. Into account. I was born in this country. This society ni ours. Tutaendelea kuifightia for, and that's the basic point for all of us. Thank you, guys.
Ndoro, you can go next, and kindly keep the time. Just limit yourself to 3 minutes because there are so many people that want to talk. So let's give each and every person time. Kindly just highlight your issue in a very articulate manner, and we shall pick because we are trying to see the issues that we have raised. Many people have said reconstitute the IBC, others is dissolve the cabinet, not reshuffle. Let's continue. Ndoro.
Thank you so much, Kimuzi. Everyone in the audience. I would also like to thank all the protesters who've been showing up on the Tuesday and Thursday marches for making your voices heard. I personally do not take it for granted, and let us not forget all our brothers and sisters who have, in one way or another, fallen by the wayside as a result of the brutality in the response from our government. I'd also like to thank all the lawyers who stood by us, who went for our guys who had been caught and negotiated their releases. To everyone who has been supporting us online, both locally and internationally, we see you and we do appreciate you very much. So one thing that I would like to bring to all of our attention is that what we see on the ground, the government and the hand that it is playing in the situation that we are in as a country right now is at the tip of the iceberg, so to say. All this financial instability, because that is what is going to result from all this chaos, is as a result of a global economy that is deeply flawed. And to understand where it all started, I'm going to have to highlight a conflict that started all the way back in 1971. I don't know how many of you in the audience are aware of the gold standard and how the global economy and the national currencies of the world are pegged to each other in value. So to highlight that, a long time ago, right after World War II, that is in 1971, that was way before that. Right after World War II, all the nation states of the world gathered in the United States to come up with a de facto system that would regulate the world economy. And that was when the US dollar was pegged to gold, and every other currency in the world was pegged to the US currency. And that system had its merits in the sense that it prevented countries from devaluing themselves by printing too much money or abusing the economic powers in a way that would destabilize the entire system. But when the United States was given the lead to be the base currency for the entire economic system, they misused that power. If you remember correctly, that is the period when the United States had a very huge economic boom. They would even go as far as putting people on the moon, and that is what caused other countries, especially France, to be cautious as to the misuse of the power that the United States had been given as a de facto currency of the world. So famously, the French sent a boat to the US to collect their gold back, the gold that they had deposited in the US, so that it could act as their, Nikama reservoir. Yeah, let me say that, reservoir. So they went to ask it back, fearing that the United States was printing more money than was economically allowed in the system that they had just passed. And because President Nixon at the time was aware that this was exactly what was happening, President Nixon, back in 1971, decoupled the dollar from the gold standard, which made all currencies in the world pegged to nothing. So as it stands today, the United States has the ability to print as much money as it wants. And the only thing that ever does is to even more so destabilize not only their economy, but our economy and the economies of the world. So the way it affects us as Kenya today is that when we look to the east and we look to the west, notice that when the Chinese offered us economic support, they not only sent money, but they sent their workers to build ports, to build roads, and to build railway stations. But when the United States, if your memories will serve you, just a few weeks ago, when they send help, they send IMF, they send suppressive bills that will not only make life hard for the normal citizen, but even that money itself does not make its way to the ground. I am not making this statement to make you aware of my preference. No, this is not a personal preference. This is just a statement of facts. That the real problem that we need to address is the structure of our economic system. Shall we continue to be the dump site for a system that has already continued to fail not only itself, but a system that, if you can remember the 2008 housing crisis, the European debt crisis, all of these had their root causes in the US financial structure, and Wall Street and IMF and all these other US-based institutions had their role to play in that. And you would have to note that over the past few months, the tone of the president towards the dollar had just shifted. A few months ago, he was cautioning people about holding the dollar, and now today he's out there signing deals with them. So be cautious. And I think the one solution that we can have is to turn our economy, not to rely so much on these people. Let us not rely on these politicians to build our roads or to improve our schools or to, build hospitals. It is very possible for the Kenyan people, through their own work, to build institutions and companies and financial bodies that can do this for us. Because at the end of the day, if we build our schools, if we build our hospitals, it is us who gain, it is our children who gain. So I really hope that at the end of the day, we appreciate the fact that, yes, they might put us in this economic, let me even call it a shithole, sorry. But at the end of the day, it is our responsibility to find solutions beyond our passionate expressions of a disdain and distrust. It is up to us to build the companies and the institutions that, even if they're not in government, because even the work of the government is to create policies that govern the way the country runs. But it is for us to use those policies and take up the role as the hands that actually push those, so to say, carts. We are the ones who are going to build those roads. We're the ones who are going to start those companies. We're the ones who are going to take books to those schools. We are the ones who are going to become teachers, founders, CEOs, etc., etc. So I do hope that later on today, we shall all recollect. What can I do? Do I have a project I wish I could do? Do I have a company that is in the back, in my notebook somewhere? Pay attention yen to make what to create, and I've loved the passion that we have. I would like us to now look at ourselves. What can we do now? What things can we build today that can earn us as a community? Because that is what we are right now. what projects can we start now that are not ideally for charity? And I do appreciate the many efforts that I've seen going around to help people who have been injured and all the families who have been bereft. Let our next steps now be about building. What can we do to make the future brighter instead of only soothing the wounds of today? And let us focus on that. The more we do that, the more we can offset the economical imbalances created by the impunity of these leaders, and the more capable we will be